Fabricated laws, humanity's game. We're exploring this fascinating idea about the rules that shape our lives. The laws, customs, and expectations that guide everything from how we interact in traffic to how we build societies. It's all about realizing that these aren't some eternal truths baked into the universe, but something we've cooked up ourselves. Much like the rules in a board game or a sport. They work because we agree on them but strip away the agreement, and they're just inventions. Stick around as I unpack this step by step. Before we proceed deeper into this examination of human constructs, permit me a momentary aside. Should any element of our conversation strike a chord, be it a compelling historical reference or a profound observation, I encourage you to like and share this episode and to follow for forthcoming installments. Your participation is essential and supports our ongoing provision of in-depth explorations on such intriguing subjects. Let me start by painting a picture without giving away the full reveal. Imagine a world where every guideline we follow, from shaking hands to paying taxes, isn't handed down from the stars or etched in stone by nature itself. Instead, think of them as tools we've crafted over time to make group living smoother. They're useful, sure, but they're not inevitable or unbreakable. They evolve, bend, and sometimes break based on what we need in the moment. This perspective shifts how we see conflicts, alliances, and even personal choices, hinting at a flexibility in human behavior that's both empowering and a bit chaotic. It's like peeking behind the curtain of everyday life and seeing the strings we pull ourselves. Now, let's get into the heart of it and lay out the full picture. All human rules are completely made up, similar to those in a game. They're not inherent in nature and certainly not set in stone forever. Nature doesn't come with a rulebook. It's raw, indifferent, full of survival instincts but no built-in morals or laws. Think about it. Animals in the wild don't have traffic signals or property deeds. They hunt, mate, and form packs based on instinct, not some cosmic code of conduct. We humans, though, invent these structures to coordinate our actions. In historical terms, back in the 17th century, thinkers started pointing out that without any organized authority, people are in a raw state where power and self-preservation rule, and any order we create is artificial, built by us to escape constant conflict. That's why governments and laws emerge, not because they're natural, but because we decide they're better than the alternative. These rules aren't floating in the ether. They're born from our interactions. We observe what works, punish what doesn't, and over generations, they solidify into norms. But they're arbitrary at their core. Why drive on the right side in some places and the left in others? It's a convention, a made-up choice that prevents crashes. Switch it tomorrow, and as long as everyone agrees, it still works. The same goes for bigger things like marriage customs or economic systems. In a free market setup, the rules around trade and ownership aren't derived from the laws of physics. They're agreements to encourage exchange and growth. Contrast that with systems like Marxism or Bolshevism, where the rules aim to redistribute based on collective needs, but again, these are human designs, not natural mandates. Nature doesn't care about equality or competition. It just is. We've layered these ideas on top to achieve specific outcomes like stability or progress, but they're not forever. Societies have flipped between them throughout history, proving their fluidity. Diving deeper into the themes and analysis, this whole setup explains why predicting behavior in interactions is so key. If you know the rules someone else is playing by, whether it's reciprocity in a deal or honor in a feud, you can interpolate their next move. But remember, these aren't fixed in the fabric of reality. They're like game rules. In chess, the queen moves any number of squares, but we could rewrite it if we wanted. The logic behind them is practical, to avoid chaos, foster trust, or signal belonging, but it's all constructed. Normative psychology backs this up. We internalize these expectations through observation and feedback, adapting to new environments. Evolutionary biology adds another layer. Norms likely started as survival hacks in small groups, like sharing food to build alliances, but they've ballooned into complex systems as societies grew. Yet they're not eternal. Shifts in incentives or technology, crises, or cultural exchanges can rewrite them overnight. Look at how digital worlds have spawned new rules around privacy or online etiquette. They're made up on the fly, not drawn from ancient natural laws. One big implication is that assuming rules are inherent leads to rigidity. If we treat them as unbreakable truths from nature, we miss opportunities to adapt. But recognizing their made-up nature frees us to question and improve. In adversarial scenarios like negotiations, understanding your opponent's rule set, maybe they're big on tit-for-tat, lets you anticipate escalations. In partnerships, aligning on shared inventions reduces friction. This isn't to say throw everything out. The point is, they're tools for outcomes, not sacred absolutes. Game theory illustrates this perfectly. Norms emerge as stable strategies in repeated plays, where everyone benefits from predictability. But change the game, say introduce new players or stakes, and the equilibria shift. Nothing's forever. Rules persist only as long as they serve the group. And this ties into broader human dynamics. All social interactions boil down to these abstract concepts we've invented. From politeness in cues to international treaties, they're coordination devices. Without them, we'd be back to raw instincts. But with them, we achieve incredible feats. The downside? They can ossify into dogma if we forget their origins. Historical shifts, like the move from monarchies to democracies, show how rules get overhauled when they no longer fit. Even moral rules, often claimed as universal, vary wildly across cultures. What's taboo in one is celebrated in another, proving their constructs, not nature's decree. Let me pull in some standout lines that capture this essence. In discussions of human constructs, one historical view notes that the state of nature is natural in one specific sense only, political authority is artificial. In the natural condition, human beings lack government, which is an authority created by men. Another perspective highlights that human rights exist because we humans created them, in much the same way that art, music, and philosophy exist because humans created those too. And on laws. So the law regulating how I operate when wishing to turn right on a red light is totally a human invention to solve a human problem. These echo the core. Nothing's inherent or eternal. It's all our doing. Wrapping this up, I highly recommend pondering this lens next time you're in a debate or decision. It empowers you to see rules as flexible tools rather than chains. Challenge outdated ones, craft better ones for your circles, and remember, in the game of life, we're the rule makers. Stay real, stay free,